used to hearing stories of splits in the Conservative Party. We're about to witness a big rift in the Labour Party too. And I think if there is one really big message from me to this conference, I don't think, and the bond markets back me up, and the leftward drift backs me up, and before long...
Brexit betrayal. EU countries leave UK in dark over new border checks ***. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button because we're about to unpack something that perfectly encapsulates everything that's gone wrong with our relationship with Europe since we voted to leave. This is the kind of chaos that would make Nigel Farage's head spin, and trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why. Speaking of Farage, remember when the Brexit champions said we'd be the ones holding all the cards? Remember the promises about how leaving the EU would put Britain back in control? Well, here's the thing about holding all the cards. Sometimes a dealer still gets to change the rules while you're not looking. And that's precisely what's happening right now at our borders, our airports, and our ferry terminals. Farage would probably tell you this is exactly the kind of betrayal he warned about. But here's where it gets interesting. This particular disaster isn't actually about the EU being vindictive. No, this is about something far more revealing. It's about the catastrophic lack of communication, the administrative chaos, and the sheer incompetence that defines post-Brexit Britain's relationship with Brussels. It's Brexit betrayal, but not in the way you might expect. Less than 48 hours. That's what we're talking about here. 48 hours before a completely new border system comes into force across Europe, and the UK government has absolutely no idea which airports are participating. Not a clue. Not a single definitive list. Brussels and EU member states have simply refused to provide one. This isn't speculation or political posturing. This is a Home Office admitting they are flying blind. And they are not even pretending otherwise. UK officials are apparently just trawling through newspaper articles and having informal chats with various governments, hoping to piece together which airports will be introducing the entry-out-exit system. Let that sink in for a moment. We've had years to prepare for this. Years. And yet here we are, 3 days away from the most significant border change since Brexit itself, and our government is basically relying on educated guesses and media reports. The entry-out-exit system is actually quite straightforward in theory. From Sunday, the 12th of October, when you arrive in an EU country, you'll need to have your passport scanned, your fingerprints taken, and your photograph captured. Digital records created instantly. It's replacing the old system of passport stamping, and the EU says it's all about tracking compliance with a 90-day visa-free travel rule. Fair enough. Sensible. Even. But here's where it becomes genuinely problematic. Nobody can actually tell us where this is happening, when it's happening, and how backed up our airports are going to be when millions of British holidaymakers descend upon them expecting a quick stamp passport, and instead find queues that make passport control at Gatwick look like a VIP lounge experience. 3 countries are going all in from day one. Estonia, Luxembourg, and the Czech Republic are implementing the full system at all arrivals and departures immediately. Germany is taking the cautious approach, just Dusseldorf to start. Norway's brought in Oslo. But Spain? Spain, the absolute favorite destination for British package holidays, the place where half the country goes to escape the British weather. They are starting with exactly 1 flight on the first day. 1 flight to Madrid. It's almost comical if it wasn't so genuinely infuriating. We're talking about the country that receives millions of British tourists annually, and they are testing the system with a single aircraft. That's not a rollout. That's a complete abdication of responsibility. The Port of Dover, Eurotunnel, Eurostar, all of them are expecting absolute carnage. The process will happen at the border before you even leave the UK, which means we're about to see delays stacked on delays stacked on delays. Imagine the summer holidays. Imagine a Friday afternoon in October when everyone's desperate to get their weekend mini break to the Costa del Sol sorted. Now imagine checking in for Eurotunnel and discovering you're going to be queued for hours because Brussels decided to roll out a system without telling anyone which airports are actually participating. The government has thrown £10.5 million at our ports and operators to try and soften the blow, but money can't magically reduce the time it takes to scan a passport, capture a fingerprint, and create a digital record for every single traveler. Here's what's truly galling about all of this. The UK government knew this was coming. They've known for ages. And yet somehow they couldn't manage to extract a simple list from the EU member states. Not even a rough timeline. Not even a heads up about which major airports will be participating. Nothing. It's the kind of diplomatic failure that should make you absolutely furious because it directly impacts your summer holiday, your Christmas getaway, your ability to see family on the continent. This isn't some abstract policy debate. This is real life, real disruption, real frustration. And the EU, in its wonderfully continental way, has decided that providing basic operational information to a neighboring country is apparently beneath them. Or perhaps they genuinely don't know themselves, which would be even worse. The rules themselves are fairly comprehensive. Children under 12 won't be fingerprinted. That's something, at least. But every single person, including babies, will have their photograph taken and a digital record created. Every traveler. Every time you enter an EU country. It's all ostensibly in the name of security and border control, and you can understand the logic. The EU has replaced the old passport stamping system with this new digital system because it allows them to track compliance with a 90-day visa-free rule more efficiently. Fair enough. That makes sense from a bureaucratic perspective. But executing it without informing the UK about which airports are ready to implement it? That's not border security. That's just chaos masquerading as policy. And Faraz would have a field day with this, wouldn't he? His entire career has been built on this premise. The EU is incompetent. The EU doesn't care about Britain. The EU will screw us over. Now, to be fair to him, this particular moment does rather validate that particular worldview. But here's the nuance that often gets lost in these discussions. We're not the victims of some grand EU conspiracy here. We're the victims of institutional incompetence. We're the victims of a situation where nobody at Brussels seems to have thought through the practical implications of rolling out a massive new system without ensuring that neighboring countries actually know what's happening. And we're definitely the victims of our own government's apparent inability to extract basic information from our European partners even after years of supposedly special negotiations. The irony is that this entry-out-exit system isn't even new in concept. The EU has been talking about it for years. Countries have had time to prepare. But here we are, less than 48 hours out, and the UK is in the dark. And that's going to mean delays. Real delays. Hundreds of thousands of British travellers queuing at airports across Europe, wondering why they are waiting an extra 2 hours to get into a country they visited 100 times before. It's a kind of administrative failure that ruins holidays, frustrates business people, and makes you genuinely question whether anyone, anywhere, actually knows what they are doing when it comes to post-Brexit Europe. The government statement about backing ports and operators, about working with European partners and local resilience forums, about keeping traffic flowing and journeys smooth, it's all theatre. It's all very nice words while genuinely acknowledging that they've got no idea what's actually going to happen on Sunday. They are hoping for the best. They are praying that Spain doesn't suddenly decide to bring every airport online at once. They are crossing their fingers that Germany doesn't expand beyond Dusseldorf overnight. And that's not strategy. That's not preparation. That's just resignation. So here we are. The entry-out-exit system arrives in less than 2 days. British holidaymakers, business travelers, and families visiting relatives across the Channel are about to face unprecedented delays at airports they've used dozens of times before. And the people who are supposed to be representing our interests, they are refreshing newspaper websites and making phone calls to vague government contacts in Brussels, hoping someone, somewhere, knows what's actually about to happen. It's simultaneously farcical and infuriating. It's the perfect encapsulation of post-Brexit Britain, not betrayed by some grand scheme, but let down by sheer, catastrophic administrative failure. This is the new normal. This is what leaving the EU actually looks like when you strip away the ideological debate. It's airport queues. It's delays. It's your Friday afternoon departure getting pushed back by 3 hours because the system you weren't told about wasn't properly communicated to anyone. It's chaos masquerading as border security. And the worst part? We probably won't have learned a thing by the time the next crisis rolls around. There will be another system, another deadline, another refusal to provide basic information from Brussels. And we'll be standing in another queue somewhere, wondering how it came to this. Subscribe to UK Connors for more deep dives into the realities of post-Brexit politics, because we're going to be unpacking this mess for years to come. And frankly, you're not going to want to miss what comes next.